Hello Year 3 and welcome to your next week of maths work. Today we'll be looking at capacity and throughout this week. But before we discuss capacity, I have written 5 numbers on the board. 6, 5, 4, 2, 5. And I would like you to use those numbers to try and make 56, 18 or 35. Remember, for each sum that you make, you can only use each number once and try different calculations. Timesing and adding, or adding and then timesing and then subtracting. Try different calculations. And even if you can't make these exact numbers, make a number as close as you can to those numbers. Pause the video and maybe give yourselves 5 minutes to do it, and I'll add some answers to the board as well. Pause the video and see if you can solve those problems. Well done, Year 3. I've just added different answers to the board. 4 add 5 equals 9, times 6 is 54, add 2 is 56. That was a very tricky one. You may have got both of these. 5 times 4 is 20, take away 2 is 18, and 6 times 5 is 30, add 5 is 35. Very well done if you solved those problems. This week, we're going to be looking at capacity. Capacity is how, in terms of maths, is how much liquid something can hold. How much liquid something can hold. And when we are measuring the capacity of different objects, we will talk about millilitres and litres. When we're talking about the length of something and we are measuring, we would use centimetres or millimetres or metres. But when we're talking about capacity, we use millilitres and litres. This is 1 litre. 1 litre of water, which is 1,000 millilitres. And that's a really important conversion to remember. 1 litre is 1,000 millilitres. I'm just going to show you some different objects, and I want you to have a guess as to which one you think holds the most liquid. These are the first two. Which of these two objects, my water bottle or my Coke can, which do you think holds the most liquid? Which one do you think holds the most liquid? You might even be able to have a guess as to how much liquid each one holds. Remember, this is 1 litre or 1,000 millilitres. So you can see it's going to be less than that. How much do you think? Maybe you could have a guess. I'm just going to leave that there because you might be able to use that. You might want to pause the video and have a think about it for a minute. Which one do you think holds the most liquid? I will now tell you that this one, this water bottle held the most. This has 500 millilitres, which is half of this amount. This one has only 300 millilitres, so it's a little bit less. The water bottle held more liquid, more water. These are the next two I have, the spray bottle and the smoothie. Which one do you think holds the most liquid? Which has the largest capacity? Which do you think? One might be slightly wider, but the other might be slightly taller. So you have to think carefully, which one do you think? And you might even be able to have a guess as to how much you think each one holds. This actually held 1 litre, which is exactly the same amount as this. They are different shapes, but actually their capacities are the same. They hold the same amount of liquid. Whereas this one only held 700 millilitres. This was 1,000 millilitres, this was 700 millilitres. And finally, I have a milk carton and a wine bottle. Which one do you think holds the most liquid? Which one do you think holds the most? They're a similar height, Once you've decided which one you think holds the most, you can also have a prediction about how much you think each one holds. Remember, this is 1 litre. This is 1 litre. Which do you think? This milk carton actually held 2 litres, which is like 2 of these in here. 2 litres or 2,000 millilitres. It's important that we begin to change from one unit to the other. So 2 litres is the same as 2,000 millilitres, and that's how much was in here. Whereas this was only 800 millilitres, which is a little bit less than what's in this jug here, 800 millilitres. Well done if you got those correct, and you even had some good predictions. In your worksheets today, you'll be looking at scales. You'll be looking at different jugs, like I showed you, and trying to work out how much liquid is in each jug. And to do that, you need to look at the scale. I have one on here. It tells us how much there might be in the jug. 0 is at the very, very bottom. 0, there is nothing in there. And then we have 5 millilitres at the top. Each of the scales will be different. And you have to work out what it's going up in, how much are the jumps between each line. Sometimes you might be able to just do that by looking. Other times you might have to try different numbers. So I'm going to have a look here. Maybe it's going up in tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 5. That can't be right. It's not going up in tens. I'm going to try 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 5. That can't be right either. Maybe you can have a look at that scale and see how many millilitres each line is pointing to. This one is actually going up in ones each time. I have 0 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 millilitres. So hopefully you can work out, well, this line is 1 millilitre and this line is 4 millilitres. And that was quite a simple one because it was just going up in ones. But it might be going up in different amounts, and that's what you have to look really carefully at. How about this next scale here? 0 and then 10 at the top. Is this one going up in ones? 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Well, that can't be right. It can't be going up in ones. So we can try a different number. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And this one's going up in twos. So maybe you can work out how many millilitres each line is pointing to. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10. They're getting a bit trickier now. They're getting a little bit trickier. I have fewer lines this time, but I still have to make sure I'm counting up those jumps carefully to try and work out what it's going up in each time. I have 0 at the bottom and 20 at the top. Maybe this one's going up in twos. 0, 2, 4, 6, and then 20. Well, that can't be right. So we have to try a different number. 0, 10, 20, 30, 20. That wouldn't be right either. So you sometimes have to try different numbers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces there. I could do 20 divided by 4, but that's quite tricky using my divisions. So trying different numbers to see what it's going up in might be the best way. 0, 5, 10, 15, 20. So this one was going up in 5s. The first line was 5 millilitres. The next line was 10 millilitres. I'm sure you could all tell me what this missing line would be then. If it's going up in 5s, this would be 15 millilitres. I have 2 final scales on the board. Again, it's getting a little bit trickier each time. This one starts at 0 and goes up to 50. And this one starts at 0 and goes up to 100. This time you can try and pause the video and see if you can add in those answers. How many millilitres do you think these lines are pointing to? Thinking about carefully the jumps that must be from one line to the next line so that it adds up correctly. Which do you think? A little bit trickier. Pause the video and I'll add the answers onto my board. Welcome back, Year 3, if you did pause the video. This one was going up in tens. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So the first line was 10 and the second line was 30. This one, the scale is going up in 20s. 0, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So very well done if you had 20 and 60. But these were quite tricky, those two. Today's task. You have 3 sheets where you have to write down how much water is in each jug, thinking carefully about the scale and the number of jumps between each number. There might be 1s, 2s, 5s, 10s, 20s. You have to look really carefully and count very carefully. If you complete all of that, you can try and find 10 things from around your house and try to order them from the one that has the smallest capacity to the one that has the biggest capacity. See if you can do that. We will be doing some measuring later on in the week. And finally, if you finish all of that, I've also added 2 capacity tasks to your My Maths page, and you can try and find those as well. Well done for watching Year 3 today. Thank you. Remember, I will be on Google Meet as well.